Hey, how you doing? Let's get into this. Let's dive right in. We're going right into our studies. Okay, we did all the main lines. Now we're just going to do this straight up linear. It's going to be bishop take. Oops. Moves. Move 6. I'm thinking. No, it's not move 5. I think it's blah. I think it's. I think it's move 5 for black. And then it's bishop takes c5. There, sorry, c3 check. I'm thinking this is the right one here. And there's bishop takes. This is kind of one of some of the sidelines. If they play c7, queen g4. This is more of a blitz line. f5, queen g3, queen 97. So takes g there, g, and then b6. Let's see. Queen takes h. C takes d4. King d1. They consider it a sclam. Ginger says it's kind of awkward that you'd want to do that. It's not a. It makes it so that you're not as strongly positioned. Bishop d, queen h5 check. Oops, not h4, h5 check. King d8. The king has to move for black, but this actually helps us. So knight b5, knight f5. Queen takes check. Rook a2. And then knight c6. But I'm gonna make sure we're doing this right here. I just wanna give it a quick sec. Boom, boom, boom. So that's the French. I see b e5. Okay. a3 takes. I see there. G f. G knight takes. This is actually an exclam move. a6. Bishop b2. It takes b. Bishop takes. This is Nakamura versus Burge. Wow, Burge actually played this. He Burge. Hmm. Let's see that. You're able to trade off the bishops. Henry. Equal position. Oops, maybe not that. At knight f3. This is crazy lines, man. White has a long advantage. The game may continue with Queen H6. Exclaim. AC6. Bishop F5. A7. Bishop takes. Bishop takes. Knight G5. F takes. A takes check. King G7. Bishop takes. Knight takes. Queen takes. Queen takes. Rotates check. King G6. Rook A, E8. Or E1. H6. F3 and then resign. And then the player resigned at this point for black. So I don't think we want to follow down that route. Some of these routes could possibly rise to the surface, so you got to be prepared. Some of them aren't good for black, so don't just go down every line. Make sure that the line is good for you. Gotta make sure I have this right. Oh. Switch HD, there we go. That's crazy walking right in front of the pawn, but makes sense because then you're using it as a shield. What? messed up. I know, did I? Oh, it's S. So that makes sense. Hey guys. Okay. Alright. Let's check one last main line. Actually, there's two, sorry. And then we're gonna go over the classic a little bit too. Oops, sorry. I don't remember to not do that. Oops, that's wrong too. Yeah, come here, there, there. Oh. D3, and then we're setting up for moves. Alrighty, let's do one more. For once, black gets an exclam. Wow. Uh-oh. Did I forget a line? I think I did. And this is the exclam. Should be. Knight G5 is actually dubious. Queen E8. Kerplunk. Black holds an edge in the endgame. So he holds an edge in this one. Okay. We'll do the other ones next time. There's a because you get into different linear lines. There's a whole bunch of different move orders that Ginger goes over. So let's do a quick overview on the classic variation of the French, though. And then we'll go over a little bit overview of the advanced too, just a slight overview. Turn the board so that you get the vantage point of black. And then we're going to do the advanced first. And then from here it branches out into lots of different lines. If knight a3, you take and then take, and then what you do is you play queen. Well, you don't. Yeah, I think. Let me see. Right there, knight. Oh, sorry, it's not queen. It's knight G7, he plays there, knight comes in. Then bishop b2. Not bishop e2. I'm trying to remember here. Let me see. Okay, a4, a5. Okay, so far so good. I got some. Let me make sure I have this right. There's a Niles Short game that talks about this here. I think this is the move here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I think I remember now, because there's castling involved here. Okay, so far so good. It's not this. It's not the bishop d2. It's actually bishop. Sorry, bishop e2. And then what happens is we play queen here, castles. Here, knight takes, pawn takes, then bishop, and then bishop here, and then you trade. And this is kind of the line you're wanting to look for to slight edge for black. But it starts out at this point here. This is kind of the main line. Then there's a subline. Okay, so that's the. This is now what we're going to be talking about is the classic line. There's kind of two. This is the main classic line. There's also here, potentially something like that. Takes, and then F here, oops, then F there, F here, and then you got to be careful with checks. So probably you'd want to have to play C5. So you might want to he plays there, you play knight here, he plays there, you play F5 or C5. If here, you can actually take if you wanted to, or wait and play knight C6, and then wait till plays there, and then after here, you could play bishop out. If knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, knight takes, and select bishop out here. There's queen there, and then if castles, you always have a type of check here, and then he has to play there, and you win a piece. So there's plenty of tactics in the classic. I'd probably stick with the classic. And then let's see, do we have everybody here? Nope. So we'll go over a game with Frank Marshall. Okay. Let me get to that. Okay. We get a drink, then we'll get started. Frank Marshall is white, and D. John Sky is black. Queen's Gambit. As so often happens in this game, John Woski advanced too impatiently and runs into a tremendous attack. So here, I was a okay. I was about this time of took up the acceptance of the Gambit, which remained a favorite with him to the end of his life. He played many beautiful games with this defense. E3, Queen Rook here. Bishop takes pawn. Knight to f6. Oops, I gotta play here, and then there. Excuse me. This move was an asset of let me see here. In the previous, it's better than this. What he's saying is there's also this line that potentially could happen. Yeah, so we'll just go with this line here. Knight to c3, bishop b7, castles for white, knight c6, queen e2, queen 2, knight to b4, pawn e4, bishop to e7, and then bishop b5 or g5. Pawn h6 and bishop f4, and then black castles. At this point, white has a fine and free game, but black's position, though cramped, is compact and free from any weaknesses. King King Rook to D1. There we go. Rook C8. Knight to B5. Oops, wrong knight. Knight E5, I mean. Queen to E8. Rook to D2 to try to double. Pawn takes. Bishop takes pawn. Queen, rook to D1, there we go. A8. Queen E7. Bishop, G3. Rook. There's here. Rotates rook. Rotates rook. And then G5. Rook to D8. Rotates rook. Queen takes rook. Then pawn to H4. Queen to P5. And this was actually a mistake here. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. Queen to bishop takes pawn check. Takes pawn check. Black is threatening knight to B6 check. Good enough, but there was mate and 4 after knight b4, knight b6, queen to e7 check, then king d4, and queen e5 check. Okay, we'll call it here and do some we'll do some game puzzles. I'll set them up, then I'll go. Then I'll be right back after I set them up. Set the first one up. It'll give you a chance to solve it, and that'll be fun. Right to move, mate 2. I'll be right back. Let's solve this thing. Queen takes h7. If king there, then knight d5 is check. If takes, then bishop e6 is checkmate. We'll do 6, and then we'll start into our endgame, the Bobby Fischer endgame. Let's see, what do we got here? Puzzle time. Queen h6, queen takes, and then rook h8. This mate. And there's nothing really he could do on that one. So let's set this one up. If you want to put in, you can put in the thing. You could say to me, please give me a second, and then I'll know that you want to answer the puzzle. And then I'll give you like a minute to a minute and a half to give it a shot. But you got to tell me. Otherwise, I'm not gonna. Otherwise, I'm gonna think that you're just wanting to watch. So just put in, give me a second, I want to answer this puzzle or something like that. Put that in there. Okay. check. Knight takes on F, and then that's mate. Okay. Let's have fun. Queen h4, king takes h4, and then knight to f3 is mate. Nice. Let's do it to it. We'll do 2 more, and then we'll go into our end game. We love our end game. Oops, I almost forgot a queen there. That would have been helpful. Queen b5, king takes b5, and then knight d4. I think that's the only move. Yep. Knight, rook h there, bishop, and then mate. Okay, let us get on to our end game now. I have to erase this and turn the page. Oops, there we go. Okay. one last one for Bobby Fischer. So we gotta. This is let's see here. Let's get this. This is Spassky versus Fischer, the world champion Reykjavik, 1972. White to move. Oops, I have to make a new study. Oops. Let's go on the next page. Very complicated position. White has a bishop for 3 pawns. Three strong queenside pawns. This is obvious. What makes things difficult to figure out for our following question is white, okay, not white. With white's rook on eyeing the A1, black, the king and bishop all defending the queen side. Just how threatening are black's queenside pawns? Just how threatening are they? Queenside passers. How long apart will black's 4th pawn, pass pawn take onto f4? It's really far away. Black's pass pawn is really far away. White has the opportunity to push his h-pawn, creating a pass pawn of his own. An interesting side is the chess engine like Fritz and Deep Jr. give black an overwhelming advantage here. The poor things don't realize that the position is balanced, a draw being the proper outcome. That should give the reader a glimpse into how hard it was to play the endgame correctly, how hard it is to play the endgame correctly. And the first move, I'll see if our guys are here. Yep, perfect. The first move is actually for white, king h5 exclam. h5. An excellent move. White understands that passed pawn defense won't save the game, so he sacrifices a pawn, giving black an unprecedented fifth passed pawn in the process, in order to create his own G passed pawn. C4, creating the threat of C3. Blocking the bishop's control over a1 to h8, and then followed by queen, and black seems to have captured white's pawn in the next move. We'll have to. If h6 is playable, as shown by the notes to white's second. Rook a1. Force the two moves that white would prefer to both lose. White would prefer to play both lose though. So if white has, so what he's saying is if you take here or here, those lose. This is the only move that holds. So like h6, this loses here, and he'll show you here. King d3, queens, rook takes, h. Rook d1. How does rook d1 fit into here? Oh, d3. Ah, I did see. That's a 2. Rook h1. Rook takes, queen takes, and then king c4. With 3 passed pawns, easily beats white's bishop. It's been analyzed. So now let's go back and take a look at takes here. c3, king, bishop takes c3, pawn takes c3. Actually, rook d8. Check. Game is over since king c2 would allow rook takes, king takes, and then bishop takes. Forces black's immediate resignation. fg7, rook c1 check, king takes c1, and then pawn takes, queens, this forces mate. So the only move that saves it is rook a1. G takes f5, g6, h4 exclam by Boris. think it's, or is that Bobby? Bobby, sorry. Boris is white. G7. So they both exclaimed right back at each other. An odd analysis shows that bishop takes b4, then b3, king c3, rook g8 as winning. However, the immediate king c3 is actually, let's see here, is actually a blunder. Surprisingly, this is a blunder. The best move is actually rook bishop f6 is actually the best move here, because it does two things. It controls this whole diagonal and allows g7 to be part of the move. It's a hard as he said, hard nut to crack with that, like a walnut. If you have to have a device to crack open a walnut, and that's where they get the old time term, it's a hard nut to crack. Sometimes some of those walnuts that you buy that are still in the shells that you have to self break are hard to break, and that's where he gets the idea from. D8 check, king c3, rook d3 check, king b2, rook g3, and then g7. Kasparov answered bishop h4 with the surprise, actually bishop h4 with rook to g8. Rook takes a2, rook takes g, and then rook a8 c3, king e2, oops, not e1, e3, king e2, rook g2, king d, rook d2 check, king e3, and then exclam d6. It's that's to kind of get in behind the passer. Oh, I can't do that right now. I appreciate it though. One of black's pawns would have eventually queened. So he played h3, bishop e7, rook g8. The following Bonvinic note is quite interesting. Fischer found a prophylactic solution. He stalemated his own rook but blocked White's passed pawn and tied his bishop to it. However, now five passed pawns are fighting against White's rook. Nothing similar had previously occurred in chess. Spassky was astonished and he lost. Soon Smyslov found a draw for White, but he would have found it at the board. He wouldn't. No, he would, but would he have found it at the board, sitting opposite Fischer? So you have to always think, would he find it when you were playing Robert James Fischer? This is actually a really good move. I've played a similar move. It's really cool. What this does is block out the this move blocks the rook, but the problem with it is he has 5 passed pawns, and there's really no way to. This rook is done. So when he pushes here, if he pushes here and the king comes in, these 2 passed pawns are free to come climbing up the board. This move, which entombs black's rook, is white's only good reply to the losing position. If rook takes a2, this is actually a double question mark blunder. Rook takes g is completely hopeless for white. So now we have to take a look to see if bishop f6, h2, king c2, rook e8, exclam. Rook h1, rook e2, king d1, rook g2, rook takes h2, rook g1, king c2, then c3. Black wins, analyzed by Kasparov. So now we have to figure h2 at this point. A better try would have been for black. E3 check, king d3, h2 at this point, rook f1, f4, rook d1, f3, king d4, f2. 3 passed pawns are poised to promote on the 7th, but the rook stops them all in their tracks. King d3, king c6, king c2, a1 equals queen, else black's king won't be able to infiltrate to the king side. Rook takes a1. This is Silman's analysis. King d5, king d3, c2, king takes c2, king e4, rook f1, king f3, bishop c5, with a draw analyzed by Solis. So king c2, king c6. So far we've found from Kasparov, Bonvinic, Glasgow, Purdy, and Solis. We might as well let Smyslov toss his voice into the mix. Especially the original ace is a cool original position. Blast rook is shut out of the game, but 5 passed pawns guarantee him at least equal chances. 5. Alrighty. Rook d1 check. A key defensive idea: the rook stops the king from marching over to the king side. b3 check. King c3. They're saying that king b2 is actually a more solid line than f4. Rook d6 check. King c7. d1 exclam. f3. King c3. f2. b2. Withdraw, analyzed by Glisgork. H. Queen exclam. Sacrifices this pawn only to pull the white rook off the d-file. Lets black's king make a last desperate dash to the king side where it can try to help the f4 f pawn promote. Less critical is actually f4. Oh, it's king c6, d6 check, king c7, d1, f3 here. Wait a second, did I? Okay, c3 is right. Okay, we're good. Wait, it's still keeping the draw in sight. Another way to split the point is by rook d1, king e4, rook e1 check, king f3, king b2 exclam, f4, rook c1 exclam, c2, rook takes c4, f3, rook c1, f2, king takes b3, king takes, this rook takes is an equal position, because all the rook has to do is just take here and it's a draw. f4, rook f1 check, king e4, c1, king d3, then rook d1 is actually, this is the mistaking move here that loses on the spot, because king e1 exclam, and then it's all over. What they're saying is that Spassky finally cracked from the pressure of the game, and a draw could have been asserted with check here, king d4, rook f3, c3 check, king a1, c2, rook takes f4 check, king c3, rook f3 check, king d2, bishop a3, analyzed by Glorkick, and Timid takes it a bit further with rook takes g7, rook takes b3, rook c7, and then bishop b2 with an equal position. As so common with Fischer's endgames, one mistake, even a small one, was all it took to turn what seemed like a defensible position into a complete wreck. Defendable position to a complete wreck. Rook c1, f3. White finds himself a tempo down in an important drawish line, shown best in the notes for White was move 11. Here, where he takes on c4, bringing his rook back to c1, and basically the bishop and all that. So if rook takes, this is what they're saying right now, bishop c5. But they're saying if rook takes c4, f2, rook c1, queen, rook takes, king takes, doesn't give White time to chop the b pawn off. Kasparov pointed out that now on the next move is the crucial right here, f3, c5, and rook takes. Kasparov pointed out that now on the next move the crucial f3, f2 also wins, but Fischer has his own way to the goal. Rook takes c, rook d7, rook e4 check. White would also have resigned quickly after rook c1, and then rook d1, king f1. We kind of have a odd Lucinda position here. Bishop d4, and then f2, and Spassky resigns here. The end would have been even more painful with rook to f4. Rook takes d. Rook takes d4. King e2. Rook e4 check. King f3. Rook e8. He can actually queen here. Rook check. King e2. Rook takes oops. What in the world? I don't know how. Here, rook takes. And we remember that two connected paths pawns protect themselves. So this is a one endgame. That's why that sacrifice that he played with rook takes bishop and then allowing his pawn to be captured. Bobby's going to win this endgame. Rook a1, king e2, rook b2, king b2, rook d3, rook a1. You got to be careful that you don't stalemate your opponent. King d2, king b1, and then now you got to be really careful, because at this point, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose. First of all, you got a queen. King takes. You have king c3. And then you have king b, and then remember you push. King comes up, and then you come there. c2, and it's all over. But remember, when you get in a situation like this, you have to sacrifice a pawn. Don't stalemate by playing king c2. Go king c3, and we remember when king goes to b1, we have the b2, and now he's got to give way, then we come in and win. This is endgame, let me see. Okay. Oh, but he has a... No, he doesn't have a continuation. Oh. Once you acquired this is the ending here. Once you acquired a 2,000 plus rating and have mastered all the material in this book, this simple experience of analysis of the Grandmaster's game will be painlessly improving your understanding of the final phase of the game. However, if you've become addicted to the endgame study and wish to continue techniques, he has a following of books that you can go down. So there's a whole bunch of books. He says, and we've actually finished the book. Let's see, how much time do we have? Let's see, what can we can do a couple more, we can do 6 more puzzles, and then then I'll log off. We'll do some puzzles, 6 more. There. Here. right there, and let's get the pawns. Oops, not there. Let's get these pawns going. Let's see, how do we do here? Let's see, good. Oops, I forgot a pawn. There, there, there. Alright. Let's check here. King moves, and then checkmate. Still mate and two. Let's see what we got here. Check, king takes, and kaboom, there's your mate. 4 more. You're more than welcome to participate if you'd like. Let's see. 1, 3, 1, 2. All right. Knight check. I don't think there's a way to avoid here because this is covered That's covered, that's covered, that's covered, so he's got to take. I was wondering if there's a second mate, but I didn't see a second mate. See, if you played red check here, if you take, it's a mate. Now there's two mates here. If you take here, then that's mate. So there we go, we got our two mates in. Let's do bishop there, rook there, king here, rook here, bishop here, and then king, and king here. Yep. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and then bishop comes back as mate. Because that forces the exchange at that point. One more. Hey. Thinking it's rook takes, bishop takes, and then nope, knight does it. Nope, because the knight there, so it's not that. Maybe it's pawn takes, bishop takes, and then I think that's it. No, that can't be. Let's see. So takes f6 there. Knight takes f6. Knight c5 is mate, okay. If bishop takes, then rook f4 is mate, okay. Gotcha. Okay, we're gonna call it on this one right here. We ended up we finished the endgame book today. Hip hip hooray. We got the endgame book finished. Boy, that was a long journey, but we did it. So, okay. Do you have any questions before I log off? Yep, this one right here. We completed the whole book. So, and then in the back he's got yeah. So if we have 3 endgame sections that if you would like to go over, you can go over all of them. They have the notation in them. I tried to get all the notation. That some of them were oddly positioned, so you can just have fun going over the end games at your leisure. So, do you have any questions? Well, yeah, I'm thinking about doing some more end games. Have a I have some endgame books that I might go over, but I'll name them something different, like maybe the book's name, the endgame book's name, but I'm going to keep everything that's in those endgames is Jeremy Silman. I believe those are all Jeremy Silman ones, because we started from endgame 1, endgame 2, and we're even into endgame 3. We did the last game between Boris Batsky as white and Bobby Fischer as black. I had to create a third endgame course or study. So I'm gonna probably have to go through my library and I'll find a endgame one. So, okay. Do you have any questions? Well, I'm glad to be a servant of the Lord Jesus and being able to help you. All right. Because you know what? It's all about serving. That's the one thing that's cool about in chess. You can actually teach and you don't have to charge. And you know what? That's the greatest gift, to be a teacher. The Lord said that He didn't charge anything for His message. He also fed 5,000 and 4,000. So, and He didn't ask for anything about that. And so that's kind of how I think of, I want to walk in the footsteps of the Lord. And if I can make things that you don't have to pay for, I try to do that. Yeah, but you know what? You have to remember though, in chess, that end games are important. And congratulations on sticking out the end game, going through all of Jeremy Silman's end game course from beginner to master. That was a long, drawn out. I know it's like almost a month, or more than a month or so, and you stuck it out with Chess Cruncher TV, and trust me, it's going to pay off. And if you want to at your leisure times, you can always type in business law, go to the studies, and then click on those endgame course 1, endgame course 2, and endgame course 3, and you can go over those and learn your endgames at your leisure. But every long journey begins with one small step, so you have to remember that every step, every day that you do adds up. Like we talked about last night, how bricks, if you do 20 layers of bricks, every day the strength of the mortar that you put down increases by 50% of it. So like if you waited one day it'd be 50%, the next day it'd be 75, and then 50% of the 25, and onward. But if you stack like loads and loads of bricks on top with the mortar, and then you try to do that all the time, what's gonna happen is you're not gonna have your fireplace will start bending and pushing over and all that stuff, and it won't hold. But if you do two bricks, 2 layers, the next day do 2 layers, the next day do 2 layers, 2 layers, 2 layers, and in a month you'll have that, or maybe even sooner, you'll have the your fireplace done, and it'll be all strong, and it'll stand the test of time longer than the 10 to 20 brick layers every day. So that's what Yasser Seirawan meant by every long journey begins with a small step. Every small step increases the duration of your journey. It's the first one's as important as the last one. So just hang in there, study your end games, and I know you're already really good in your opening and middle game. End games sometimes is repetitive, but can I tell you, it's so worth it. A lot of games are won or drawn there, and if the 11th world champion Bobby Fischer actually did end game studies, I think we should consider that importance. Our Smyslov won an end game, a world champion end game. Because of his end game, he won to be the world champion. So that's how important end games are. It could actually, if you someday get enough norms and get enough rating points and all that, and you get to be a candidate, and you get to represent whatever country that you're in, you then can take that in-game knowledge that you learned from Jeremy Silman and be able to play a good end game, maybe even win. Who knows? But you have to take what you know, you have to apply it, you got to be willing to do something with it. Bruce Lee also said that the human potential is limitless, but we have plateaus at moments, and that's when most chess players stop at the plateaus, because they don't love the plateau. You don't have to like it, you don't have to love it, you have to know that plateaus do happen. Even with computers, they reach a certain learning curve of plateau. Then they have to add more like memory and all that stuff into it to have it go to the next rating or whatever the computers do for their learning in chess. But same thing with us. We have to be patient on the Lord Jesus, and He'll always be there. Then what we have to remember is don't give up, get up. And Bruce Lee also said that he didn't fear the person who practiced 10,000 individual kicks, but he feared the person who practiced one kick 10,000 times. We also talked about that you have to treasure your victories and learn from your losses. And that's the hardest thing to do, is to learn from our losses. And that remember that mistakes do not define you. So like on Puzzle Rush, if you play Puzzle Rush and you get one of those X's or a couple X's on the first strikes, because you get 3 strikes and you're out. If you get 1 or 2 of those, don't let that slow you down, because that's just an opportunity afterwards to be able to learn what you didn't see, and it'll help you improve in your tactics. Let me see. Oh yeah, I like what you think about, you'll become. So what you spend your time in, you'll become. Those will be your thoughts. So if you spend a lot of time in chess, your thoughts will be chess. If you spend a lot of time in whatever your field you're in, that's what you'll mold your life towards. So we also have to remember never to leave the Lord Jesus or the Holy Spirit out of the equation, because it's vital that they're part of our life and our studies. Because he even said that he would teach you all things as long as you're patient and you listen. That they will be there for you. Well, I think that's about it for tonight. So I wanted to leave you with that on that chest crunchers hang up their coat, they hang up their hat, they sit down and study when most what a chest cruncher does. And that makes all the difference. And as Leslie so says to the Lord Jesus, as I say, God bless. And I'll see you next time on Chest Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, and Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow and we'll keep pushing forward. 2 thumbs up, hoorah, be blessed, and remember what Hannibal Smith said. He said he loved it when a plan came together, but a good plan is knowing what your opponent's going to do, predicting it, having a plan based around it, but never forgetting your plan. Okay, great job. 2 thumbs up, hoorah, be blessed, and always study chess and have fun doing it. Bye-bye. And honoring the Lord.